Joining us now is the former head of U.S. Cyber Command, Admiral Michael Rogers. He's now a professor at Northwestern's Kellogg School of Management. Good morning to you.
Good morning. Pleasure to be with you today.
We're so glad to have you, Admiral Rogers. So talk to us about what the cybersecurity risks are for the U.S. moving forward as Russia possibly tries to retaliate for the sanctions. And why haven't we seen any major cyber attacks yet?
So let me start with the last part. Why have we not seen significant increased cyber activity so far in this crisis? And I would argue it's likely because, number one, I believe Putin fundamentally miscalculated. He felt the operation in the Ukraine was going to be executed very quickly. I think he believed he needed that infrastructure. And that infrastructure includes the internet, the ability to push information to the populace. I believe he felt he was going to need access to that once the Russians assumed control, and therefore he didn't want to destroy it or really degrade it significantly. I also believe that he felt, look, I know what I need to do in the Ukraine. I don't want this to broaden very much if I can help it, so I'm going to hold off on cyber. I can achieve what I need on the ground. I can quickly capture the Ukraine. So that clearly has not worked. And so one of the things I think we all, whether you're a business, whether you're an individual, whether you're a nation state, we all need to be thinking about, if you're Putin and you're trying to figure out right now, it has not gone as well as I hoped. I need to figure out how I can put more pressure on the West as a way to perhaps break these sanctions, as a way to cause economic pain, and as a way to cause political disruption, if you will, within these nations. I think cyber becomes an incredibly attractive tool. So I would look for increased cyber activity in the coming weeks and months in the United States, directed both at our government as well as businesses and potentially at individuals.
Admiral, when you're looking as former head of U.S. Cyber Command, how prepared is the U.S. to thwart off any threats from Russia, from China, when it comes to cyber attacks? And also explain to us what's happening in Russia as far as cyber attacks are concerned in relation to Anonymous.
So in terms of the U.S. ability to respond to significant cyber attacks, I would say that experience suggests that to date in this world of cyber, the virtual world, or our connectivity, our network structure, has actually proven more resilient than the physical world. If you think about the impact of a major storm, an earthquake, a hurricane, it generally takes months to years to recover the physical infrastructure. And yet in cyber, we have been able to recover from almost every major significant cyber event to date in the course of hours to days. And so I believe we have a little bit more resiliency than we tend to think. And part of it is the way our systems are designed. For example, we do not have one single interconnected, interlinked power grid in the United States. We created it over time, so it has multiple different components, multiple different structures to it. It's the same with our election system. It was built around 50 different states' approach to voting, not a single integrated one. So we have some measure of resiliency. But I do say to my fellow citizens, we need to be resilient as a society. As I think cyber attacks are going to increase, we need as citizens to be prepared to accept some measure of potential disruption. I'm not talking about days and weeks, but we have to be resilient because I fully expect the Russians want to increase the pressure on the American public. The second part you asked about was independent groups like Anonymous, who have announced these independent groups, will engage in cyber activity designed to take down parts of Russia's websites, infrastructure, government functionality, using cyber as a tool. I think it's an interesting example of how this crisis in the Ukraine, this Russian invasion of the Ukraine, from a cyber perspective, has a lot of things we've never seen before. This will prove to be a watershed event, I believe, in the history of cyber and cyber warfare.
Wow. Some fascinating insight there. Thank you so much, Admiral Rogers, for joining us this morning.
Thank you very much. Be good, Chicago. As a fellow lifelong Chicagoan, always good. There you go.
Thanks, Admiral.